Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back, it's Jordan here. Today we're going to continue working on the Winter Village. So my last video showcased all of the modified buildings. So we've got the two rebrickable models of the gingerbread house and also the elf clubhouse. Then there are the two Hogsmeade buildings, the three broomsticks and also honeydukes that have the complete backs. All of the Holiday Main Street buildings that all have complete backs as well. Then there is the Winter Village Fire Station, the Santa's Visit, and also this massive Alpine Lodge over here. So I built modified all of them, and then I loosely placed them back in the Winter Village here. And I like this new layout. It's been slightly modified from the last time that you saw it, in the sense that these buildings are actually on the on the edge, like sort of side flanking right there, right? Side by side. I think that looks pretty good because now we have like a complete street. Also, I moved this over here. You can see where it used to be with the dark gray. It used to line up with the driveway pull-in. So I'm going to fix all that up here today. And I was able to make that space by actually removing this right here, the massive extra large Alpine Lodge from its mills plate, because this actually used to be like tacked right down to the 2x2 bricks. Like it was stuck to the plate like that. But what I decided to do was just peel it off. So now you can see it's actually sitting there loosely. I can literally move it around. In fact, I need to tack that plate down a little bit better. But now that it's actually removed, I can very easily play with the layout. Whereas before it was like in a fixed position, so I couldn't make small little modifications to the layout to make space for more buildings. So I think this looks pretty cool, but the first thing that I need to do is actually modify these, because there are some curved plates that I'm not a huge fan of. And there's also like a huge front yard here that's taking up way too much space. Same case back here. You can see there's two additional studs there and two additional studs there. What I'm going to try and do is reduce the footprint of these buildings even more to free up more space on the side and also in front of the builds. That was fairly easy to do. What I did was just take the second floor off, flip the building upside down, and then just peel off these bottom plates. And then I had to rebuild it all, so to transfer all the tiles and whatever bricks were left over when I extracted the bottom plates onto a new plate. This one here specifically is 16 studs by 16 studs. I just built it with various plates as I transferred it over. But now it has a much smaller footprint, and same with the gingerbread house. Like it's quite a small footprint now. The plates are essentially right up against the structure, maybe like one stud on each side, and right up against the back door as well. Granted, it did get rid of like the fun details in the front yard of like the elf clubhouse, but I'll be able to add those details once they're actually placed. They're just easier to move around when they're like this. So now these buildings fit here quite nicely, but this is still pretty tight, like right there. I still need to figure out what I'm going to do with this gondola. I thought it would be pretty cool if that serviced Santa Claus's mountain. Maybe guests or residents of the Winter Village can take the gondola up and they can visit Santa Claus and get a photo with him. I think that would be pretty cool, right? You could tell lots of stories with that, with all the different elves. Now, originally I thought this elf clubhouse was going to be in its standard form and be up here on the first ridge. But I'm thinking I'll be able to do something pretty cool here with like reindeer and a bunch of vegetation, like snow-covered trees and everything coming down, and make this look more like a mountain. I think that would be pretty neat. Maybe the elf clubhouse needs to move back up there so that it can still be part of the scene. That might be pretty neat. Or maybe the elf clubhouse needs to be turned around like this, so there's still a pathway leading up to the first ridge of the mountain, and that's where you board the gondola, and then the elves are sort of in control of who is getting on the gondola to go visit Santa Claus. I think that would be a really cool story. Now this is tiled off in a very strange way. That's because that's where the Christmas tree used to be. But now with all of those buildings there, I think the Christmas tree sort of overcrowds this area. So it might actually look pretty cool in front of the winter chalet on the base of the ski hill. And I still need to figure out how I'm going to integrate a skating rink here in the Winter Village. So it's funny that I over doubled the space for the Winter Village this year, but then I gave it all to the ski hill, so now I find myself running out of space for things like the skating rink and also the Christmas tree. Maybe one of those two things could go on the second ridge of Santa Claus's mountain. That might be a cool spot for a little skating rink or a giant Christmas tree. I'm really motivated to work on the Winter Village this year, but at the same time, I find myself running into some roadblocks. You probably noticed that the chairlift has been worked on. We're going to discuss that later on in this video, but it's been a little bit of a roadblock, a little bit of a problem, and I'm trying my best to fix it, but it is proving to be difficult. So I guess with that said, it's time to make some serious changes to the Winter Village layout. Out with all of the buildings. I'm going to strip the plates down to the very colorful brick, and then I'm actually going to start increasing the height of those bricks by 3 bricks. I'm going to raise up the back row of buildings just because it was too flat. There wasn't a whole lot going on. I want it to look more visually appealing. So I made those towers 4 bricks tall instead of 1 brick tall. I'm going to put a face on it of all white as well up against the road there. Ton of 2x2 bricks going into this. It's crazy. I've pretty much used all of my colorful ones. I try to stick with using the color and keep all my neutral stuff and also green because that's great for landscaping. But yeah, building that wall up front, and now I'm starting to top those very colorful bricks with the 8x6 plates that I have. Just want to try and get that whole surface area nicely covered up with white plate. Then I'm going to do that over here by Santa Claus's Mountain as well. Now, Santa Claus's Mountain has to be raised up the same height in my opinion. I'm going to have to try and figure out how to do that because that is a massive mountain and it will definitely not be as easy. And now it's the moment you've all been waiting for. I'm going to remove the road from the Winter Village. I sort of liked it, but it's not really going to fit with the new layout. The reason I wanted to have it in the first place is because I had the Winter Village fire station, which of course came with a fire truck. But I'm going to remove all that and create a big mess while doing it. So now I just got to clean up this mess here and get it down to the basics. So I gave it some thought and I was like, white wall? No. White wall has got to go. You know me, I like to do things once or twice. So I'm actually going to build a light gray wall using light gray brick and also masonry brick. And I'm going to change out the plates on the top of the ridge there with light gray so that it matches that color. And then I can recreate that sidewalk that is built using the 2x2 plates and also the 2x2 tile. Definitely going to look a lot better, and it's going to change up some of the color. I wish I could build the wall in 100% masonry. I just don't have enough masonry bricks to do that. But with that said, I will be like making snow piles and snow detail in front of the wall anyway. So now that I've got the base construction done, it's time to lay the rest of the sidewalk, which once again, 2x2 plate and 2x2 tile. Now I also want to build a skating rink, and the skating rink is going to go on the lower level. I was struggling to find a home for it, but now we're actually going to have one because I removed that road. So I'm going to Mills plate the whole lower part, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, let's start building this skating rink. I whip out that Lunar New Year's set, extract all the 1x6x5 like trans opal panels. It actually comes with like 18 of them, I think, and I'm going to create a massive skating rink. First thing I have to do is cover the light gray 48x48 plate with just white plate, because then the white is going to like appear through those panels, right? It's going to look a lot better than having gray under there. So it looks rather square right now, but I'm going to lock it in place using 2x white brick, and then I'm going to grab my odd shaped white plates and make it look pretty cool. And the end result, it almost looks like a seal. That's what I'm going for, I promise you. And as you can see, my daughter is helping me out, which is pretty cool. She's actually slapping bricks down with me and putting them away. So the buildings are going to be in the background there. We've got the retaining wall, and I want to add a fence to that retaining wall, and I'm going to do that with the 1x4 gold fence pieces. I actually found those on the pad wall quite some time ago, and they're coming in handy now. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to top those. I guess I'll figure that out. I just put some white plate on it for now, and now it's time to start placing some buildings. Yeah, so getting the buildings all back in the row, and they're looking pretty good up top there. Love the fact that there's 2 different heights now in the Winter Village. And now I've got to work over here by the Alpine Lodge. There's not enough space for all those buildings. I want to try and move the Alpine Lodge over toward the ski hill, but in order to do that, I need to match the height of the Mills plate over here. So I'm going to extend the retaining wall so that it sort of hugs that train track, but the train can still pass by. And I'm going to top that all off. Then I have more space for the Alpine Lodge, allowing me to move it over a few studs. So I just finished tidying up. Also, I was doing some more experiments on the chairlift. I'm going to show you that in 1 second. But I am so happy that I decided to go with this layout. I love the fact that the buildings are now lifted up. It's sort of like the old Winter Village, not as drastic because the old one I think was lifted up like 12 bricks, whereas this one here is just 4 bricks. But still, it gives that like second tier, that second dimension, right? It's nice having the buildings up there. I also like these gold fence elements here. I think those look pretty cool. What I need to do is get some of those like rounded pieces, also like the 1x1 modified plates with the tooth, and just add all sorts of snow detail to the tops of the fences, but I just put white plate on them for now. And then the skating rink. You see what I mean? Oh, it sort of looks like a seal. Look, you got a foot, you got an arm or a shoulder, and then you got the head. Yeah, this guy's enjoying it. You know what I forgot to do is actually put the fish underneath, because you have room to add fish in there. So I'm going to pop some of those out and put fish in there at some point. So yeah, this looks pretty good. I also changed the position of the elf clubhouse. I put it on the corner here just because it's not as deep as the gingerbread house, and the gingerbread house just sort of works a little bit better there because that spot there can handle the depth. If I put the gingerbread house here, then I've got to modify the sidewalk. There was this plate right here that was driving me crazy. It was it was white underneath the gray tile. I saw it during the time lapse, and I fixed that up as well. And then I've got to take care of Santa Claus's mountain. So there's two ways that I could do it. Essentially, I could blend this in. Like I could wipe out all these slopes and then just blend it in. But ultimately what I should do is just raise up the entire plate because this is actually sitting on a mill's plate. It's like at one brick. So what I've got to do is pretty much extract all of this and then raise it up using mills. It actually wouldn't be that hard, I don't think. For example, these big IKEA boxes are movable. So I can just pop these two big IKEA boxes out and then sort of access the mills. I'm probably going to have to like redo a little bit of this, like break that apart so I can get under there and raise everything up. Because I've got to like extract the brick underneath. It's going to be a little bit of a nightmare. I'm going to save that for another day. Same with adding minifig details, street lamps, and all that stuff. I'm going to save that for another day as well. I've still got to figure out what I'm going to do with all this space here. Snowball fights and maybe the Christmas tree, maybe a Christmas tree farm. But I'm just really happy with this. I think it looks a lot better. Oh yeah, and then of course I'm gonna have to add staircases coming down. That's why I left those holes there as well. Just built some masonry staircases, and that should look pretty cool. But I want to talk to you about the elephant in the room, which is the chairlift. So the chairlift is looking pretty good. I had the tubing come in a Bricklink order the other day, and also all the parts to create my chairs. So I created all those, and then I linked the tubing together, and I put it on the chairlift. But then I noticed that it was like drooping in a big way. So this design is actually from Rebrickable. The designer's name is Brick Eric. If you want to check out those instructions, make sure you do. They're on rebrickable.com, and they are free to use. So the thing is, his original design was a lot smaller than this. So the top would probably be like here. It was like half. So the tubes started to droop, and what I decided to do was add supports to the central beam. So these wheels here actually support the line just like that. And there's one here and one up top, but then the beam started to droop. So I quickly whipped up this support right here using some Technic lift arms, and no, it's not pretty. I could make it pretty for sure just by putting plate and brackets and everything on there. And I do plan on doing that. I just want to get this operational. And because it was drooping and is still drooping a little bit, I pretty much had to destroy a huge section of my hill. So yeah, I've got to redo a bunch of stuff in regards to the hill. That's why I shouldn't have built the ski hill until the chairlift was fully operational. If you're planning on building a ski hill, please build your lift first and then build your hill around the lift. That is going to be a lot easier, and I now know that. If I ever were to do this again, that's what I would do. So it's not operating as smoothly as I would like, but we will fire it up and I will show you. We did make some changes. I say we because Simon helped me out with this in a big way. He's got a very like mechanical mind. He's becoming an engineer, and he actually is, his favorite like theme is Technic. So he actually connected the motor and he put a little gearbox in there. And then look at this, he mounted the battery box like this inside this like box. I could probably lift this out and show you actually. I don't want to mess around with this thing too much because I've been messing around with it for so long. But here you can see the motor and there's a little gearbox in there. And then this Technic axle has been changed up to those like connector elements. And then the battery box is right there. It's actually mounted with a bracket inside this new stand for the chairlift. Battery box, IR receiver, motor, and remote. You want to hear something crazy? I was going through my IR receivers, like literally ripping them out of trains. 2 of them would not work, completely dead. I had to take that one from my from my high-speed passenger train, which I like constantly have running. So right now my high-speed passenger train, the white one right there on the raised line, doesn't have an IR receiver, and it just gutted me. Like when we were working on this, I was trying to find those parts. It just gutted me that 2 of my IR receivers are dead. Also, We were struggling to find more of these wheels, and that's why you'll see a mixture of wheels down here. But we wanted to add those to our supports, and I actually found them just later on today. I managed to find 4 of those wheels, which are the right size. But there's been a lot of trial and error with this. It's actually crazy. Okay, sorry, I'm stalling. Here we go. So we're gonna see if it operates, all right? Oh, here we go, okay. It's a little bit jerky. Oh, maybe it needs a bit more juice. Okay, there we go. So it's not as smooth as I would hoped it would be, right? But you can see how the chairs are going over the supports that we added in the center, and there you go. It just popped off down there. So that's not good. I better stop my motor. Yeah. So it just popped off completely down there. And that's actually where you can see this piece of tubing. That is the one that's actually been cut. And we've tried multiple different sizes to get the right tension. Maybe it's not enough tension right now, but we've tried a few different sizes to try and get it to work. And here we go with round 2. Make sure everything's back up on the wheels. So my thought is maybe what needs to happen, since it's popping off the wheels, you see how it just popped off that support there? Maybe if it's popping off these wheels here, maybe what I need to do is add a top wheel, because that will maybe hold it in place. As I mentioned, I don't have any more of these wheels, and that is the only size of wheel which will work for this tubing. And oh, there we go, disaster. So it's not working that good right now. There's the tubing that fell off there. And the only way that I can get more of these wheels to put a holder on the top, like that there, which in theory should hold the cable down, right? Like it should make it a little bit more secure, especially if I did that on all the wheels, like up top here, on the bottom, and on the midsection as well. The only way that I can get more of those wheels is by taking them from sets. But yeah, the set that I was eyeing up that actually has quite a few of them, so I could experiment this theory, is actually the Millennium Falcon. Look, there's the wheel I need, right? There. I could just grab a bunch of those, pop them on the top, and maybe that'll keep this thing on track. So I took some from the Millennium Falcon, and then I was searching around on Bricklink to find out what other sets have them. And look, there they are. The wheels of the fire truck from the Winter Village Fire Station. If this is the solution, then of course I will order the necessary parts to make the changes. But maybe they're going to provide a little bit of assistance here. What is causing that? Why is it jerking like that? If you see anything wrong, you let me know by commenting below, but it is operating and it hasn't dislodged like from the track yet. But something's going on down there, I think. Oh, look at that, it stopped. Give it more juice. Woohoo! There we go. I don't want to go on that chairlift. Hey, but it is operating, and it's not, like, it is better with the top wheels, like, for sure. Right? Oh, now something's stuck completely, and I'm going to wreck my motor. Yeah, so there you go, everybody. This is a little bit of trial and error with the chairlift. A little bit of a struggle here. Trying to get it figured out, though, and I'm sure I will get it figured out. This just seems to be getting caught, like, in a serious way somewhere. But I did follow those instructions by Brickeric on rebrickable.com, and I'm really happy that I was able to make some incredible changes to the Winter Village here today in this video. Did not think I was going to be doing that, but there you go. So thank you so much for coming on by. Make sure you stay tuned for the next update, and have yourselves a fantastic day. Farewell.